listening to LOA Recon with the Good Vibe coach Jeanette Ma, where we dissect the ins and outs and the art and science of conscious creation, all intended to amp up your manifesting game. Let's have some fun together. I've been revisiting an old thought and felt inspired to share my thoughts with you thanks to Molly Player, who wrote a blog post called Best Blogs for Mystics, and she listed me there, Good Vibe Blog. She writes, "She's a pro, what more can I say? If you're a law of attraction type, follow away, you won't be disappointed." Molly, thank you for the smile that is giving me tonight and for the inspiration to record today's podcast. So this thought I've been thinking about, it actually, I think Melanie Bates, a couple years ago, suggested to me something along the lines that each of us, we all, already have what we want to some extent. We just don't realize it yet. She gave me an example at the time that I don't remember. I know I had one too. Actually, I do. I posted about this. In fact, listen to how this story went. I wrote a post on it called Overlooking the Manifestation, dated June 2015. And in it, I told the story about how I volunteer for a nonprofit group that arranges dog transports. Well, they do cats too, I guess. But so they contact people to do different legs. So in order to get a rescue dog from one end of the country to another, and whenever they're rolling through Salt Lake City, Utah, they often contact me to see if I can help with the transport case. So I think I was fairly new to volunteering for this group, and I was excited to be part of it. So I said yes, and I mentioned to my boyfriend at the time, I think he might have been my ex-boyfriend that I was still living with. I don't know what our status was. Probably an ex that I was still living with and doing my best to get along with and appreciate. And, sometimes that was a little bit of work. So I mentioned that I was going to be doing this transport, and he was invited to come along if he wanted to. I was just being polite. I knew he wouldn't want to because he'd be golfing or he'd be out of town or whatever. But, I was happy to do it without him. So I had forwarded him a copy of the details just to say that I did so that he could never say that I don't invite him to do my things. Anyway, so I get in the email chain after I agree to do one of the legs, and I'm just it was so cool to see all of the notes being passed between everyone who was part. I mean, it was dozens of people. I don't remember the specifics. Well, my blog post does. It says we were taking a dog from Louisiana to Washington, and I took the leg that was from Evanston to Salt Lake. And so as people were passing around notes, coordinating things like sharing, how to recognize each other, where we were going to meet, and making sure that this was going to be a really smooth transport, I was appreciating all of the communication. And there was one in particular that got my attention because most of the volunteers who do this are women. And there was one who replied, it was a guy's name, and it got my attention because most of the volunteers in animal rescue in general, it's a lot of women. You don't see a lot of guys there. If they are, it's usually someone's husband because single guys get snatched up fast in that world. That's a little hat tip to any guy who's looking for some action. Go volunteer in animal rescue. You will get plenty. Okay. So I just made a mental note that there was a hot guy somewhere in this transport. I mean, of course he's hot. He's in animal rescue, right? That's my kind of guy. And this guy in his notes, he's writing about how happy he was to be included. You know how like in Gmail, it'll give you the preview of the email? I could see like the first line of the email. I hadn't opened it, but I could see he was saying something about, so excited to be part of this. Can't wait to meet the pups. And I was thinking, okay, that's adorable. If I had a guy like that, it'd be on. But I was thinking, that guy, he's probably in Texas or something. He's probably married, so cool your jets, Jeanette. Because this rescue work, it's not for meeting men. It's because I still got this on again, off again routine with my ex. So this is no time to be getting hot and bothered about anybody. So I'm trying not to pay attention to this guy. So the day passes, and later that night I catch up on emails and I read the full note from the guy that I'm trying not to pay attention to. The guy who's excited to be part of this transport and can't wait to meet the puppies. And I notice he's got the same name as my ex. Kind of a coincidence. So I'm reading his full note to the group, except I realize, okay, he hasn't written the whole group. He's writing just me. It's a note to me. I'm the only recipient. And I'm like, why is this guy writing me? It makes no sense. Who is this guy? My heart's beating a little fast. I got little butterflies. And I'm looking at it again because I'm like, I must be wrong. But sure enough, his note, it's just to me. And it reads, super excited to be part of this. Can't wait to meet the pups. That's the part that I knew from the preview when I'd seen it earlier in the day. And the next line says, love you. And I was like, what the hell? That's bizarre. I look at the signature line and I realize it's not an email from some strange guy in this transport. It's an email from my guy. Not some man on the other side of the country, but from the guy that I already live with. The guy that I knew wouldn't be into this sort of thing. The guy that I was sure would forget about it or find some reason not to be part of it. The guy that I'd written off so many times because we don't see eye to eye on stuff like this that matters to me. Can you hear me? I'm kind of mad at myself. This guy, here I'm all fantasizing. I was trying not to fantasize about a guy who is excited to transport puppies. And that guy was living under my roof. In my blog post, I said, cue the Pina Colada song. Oh my gosh. I mean, I was so programmed to think that my ex was not my guy that I could not see how he was. Melanie Bates, she says this happens more than we realize. And I'm inclined to agree. The reason I'm thinking about this again is because I was talking with a fellow creator the other day who it was clear to me she had blinders on for something that she wanted in her life. Like I could see it. I didn't even know her that well. And I could see that she had it and she was talking like it wasn't there. Like it was kind of awkward because I didn't know, like, should I tell her? It's right here. Like, how do you not see this? It is in your life already. But she was convinced that it wasn't. It's so, I've done this before. Once upon a time, I was kind of nervous about renting out my house to people. And my ex had introduced me to this couple who were excited to rent my house. So they did. They moved in, and I was kind of nervous about getting those rent payments because I just had never done this gig before, and I'd heard this is the big headache for when you rent your house out, getting the money and all that. I kind of had that vibration flowing. Perfectly nice people, really perfectly nice people. In fact, I specifically chose them because they were doing rescue work with dogs, and I really wanted my house to continue to be that kind of sanctuary for animals and for the people who were doing that work. So anyway, fabulous people, but I was a little nervous about the rent. Okay, so I think they made like 1 or 2 rent payments just fine. And then like the third month, I could be wrong about this, but it's pretty early on, I was like, not seeing their payment. They were supposed to deposit directly to my account. And I was like, I knew this was going to happen on the day that it was due and it wasn't there. And I looked the next day, still not there. I looked the next day, oh my gosh, still not there. I'm starting to get more irritated. Like, they told me this was going to happen. They told me you should use a management company for this just to avoid this sort of stuff. Finally, after like 5 days, I contacted my ex, who's also my best friend. When I say ex, that could mean a lot of different people, you guys. All right, so I contacted my friend, we'll call him my friend, and I said, they haven't paid me. Will you find out? Will you follow up? Because he was the one, they were his friends. So he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. He texts back, yeah, I'll call him. So he texts me back and he says, yeah, they said they paid. I'm like, well, they didn't. I've been looking for the past like week and a half. It's not there. And he was like, wow. So he contacts them again and he comes back to me and he says, they say they've got like the confirmation number for the deposit to your account. I'm like, I wouldn't have contacted you if it were there. I've been looking every day. Trust me, it is not there. They better give me the confirmation number because somehow that money got lost. It is not sitting in my account. That's what I told him. And then after I told him that, I was like, well, maybe you should make sure. So I pull up my account. And this time, instead of pulling up my account with a vibration of being nervous about getting paid, I pulled it up with questioning whether I'd been paid because they're saying they have a confirmation number. I pull up my account. Oh my gosh, you guys, that money had been there the entire time. The entire time. I just couldn't see it because I was nervous about it not being there. I was not in vibrational alignment to seeing the money that was there the entire time. I was pretty mortified and I apologized up and down. But I thought that was a huge lesson that even I can do this. And I think I'm pretty good with a money vibration. But no, I got schooled. So yeah, that idea that what we want is already here. I'm really, really intrigued by that. Abraham, I heard them say recently that every moment contains everything. That's not exactly how they said it, but that's how I heard it. And I love that idea that what I want, it is potentially right here, just for me to be able to have eyes to see it. If I'm willing to have that filter, if I'm willing to be that vibration. And if I'm not, then it will feel absent to me. But what a cool way to align if I assume that it is already here and all I have to do is go looking for it. In fact, at GVU, I challenged members I posted a new thread in the money forum. I called it that let's treasure hunt our wealth. Like, let's have eyes for how we're already rich. Let's start tallying up the ways we already are wealthy and abundant. And sure enough, we had some. Hang on, let me pull it up and read you some. These are fabulous. They are so fabulous. So I posed the question. I said, I've had a couple of talks lately with fellow creators about spotting how we already are rich as a way to release the lack vibration and activate the rich vibration. And I was thinking that it might be fun to participate in a thread where we're finding ways in which we already do or think or feel things that wealthy people do and think and feel. So the question I posed was, how am I already like a rich person? I said that if we can discover that about ourselves, which I believe all of us already have in place to some extent, and if we can see that instead of see its absence, oh my gosh, we're so home free on this. So home free. So I posted a couple of things, but everyone else's answers were even way better. I don't know if it's cool to quote everyone or not. It is a private forum for members, but some of the answers, okay, I'm not going to quote them since I feel a little sketchy about sharing things on a public podcast that maybe weren't intended to be shared publicly. But I loved that exercise so much that I wanted to invite you to do the same thing, to practice seeing how what you want, it might already be here, whether it's the love of your life, whether it's a healthy body, whether it's financial abundance or accolades at work or professional success, whatever you might be wanting. Oh my gosh, how about if we did it for our dream home? If we could start seeing how the home we have already has elements of our dream home. I bet it does. If we look for it, we will find whatever we look for. So if I'm willing to look for it, and this just goes back to that Abraham quote about how every moment contains everything. Okay, you could tell I'm a little excited about this, huh? I might be the only one. I might be doing an LOA geek routine here right now, but I wanted to share this thought because I thought it's got a lot of potential to make our alignment work much easier, that we're not trying to line up with something that is far off in our future or so far out of reach that we have to use our imagination in order to vibrate it. It could be here right now, right under your nose. I challenge you to look for it and then celebrate it when you find it. That's good alignment there. I hope you enjoyed this idea as much as I do. I want to thank you for listening and invite you to join the party over at Good Vibe University. If you'd like to hang out with other inspiring fellow creators, we've got fabulous conversations and weekly calls happening all the time. So that's at goodvibeuniversity.com. And thank you for listening and happy manifesting. Bye, everyone.